A man met a strange woman at a bar. He didn't expect to wake up. He found himself in a bathtub full of ice. He couldn't even use his strength. This instantly made him realize something was wrong. He hurriedly climbed out of the bathtub, but as soon as he got up, he found a large bloodstain on the hotel bed. An ominous feeling came over him. In order to verify his suspicions, the extremely weak man rushed to the mirror. He undid his clothes to check the situation. Sure enough, he found that one of his kidneys was missing. Jack was stunned by the sight. Until then he remembered. Last night before going to bed, he took a sip of water from a beautiful woman. Then he didn't know anything else. He concluded that the beauty was the one who stole his kidney. What's more frightening to him is that the gun in his suitcase has disappeared. As a top assassin, he felt very ashamed of this, but now is not the time to regret. He had to retrieve his kidney as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be transplanted to someone else in 10 hours. But since he was in a foreign country, Jack had to call an old buddy in the area for help.
I'm in town, I need help.
I'm at your service without question. You know that.
When he got a response that his buddy was on his way, Jack's tense mood finally eased a little. At this moment, he accidentally noticed a playing card and several bottles of painkillers on the shelf. When he went over to check them out, he found a printed note next to it. But what he didn't expect was, this note was a consent form for kidney donation, until he saw a pile of money behind it. Jack was furious, but what the bad guys didn't know, that they were dealing with a top killer. When the old man saw Jack, Jack quickly told him about what had happened the previous night. The old man told him not to panic, and directly handed him a bottle of morphine to temporarily relieve the severe pain in his body. Then followed Jack to the bar where he spent last night, and found the female bartender who had served him. He wanted to ask her about the whereabouts of that woman, but I didn't expect the bar. She called the bouncer of the bar. They were going to kick Jack and his men out of the bar, but they underestimated Jack's strength. A fixed-wing plane crashed unexpectedly in an area controlled by drug dealers. Soon, it caught the attention of 3 drug dealers. They opened the cabin door and saw a wooden box locked with an iron chain. The men thought there was something good in the box, so they entered the cabin. 2 underlings were in charge of carrying the box down, while the boss went to check the cockpit. He found an unconscious female pilot, looking at her exposed allure. The boss's eyes lit up instantly. He directly stretched out his dirty hands towards the woman, but unexpectedly, this touch actually found a large sum of cash, just blocked by the stuck seatbelt, so he took out a dagger, intending to cut the seatbelt to get the money. But the next second, the boss would never have thought his death would be so tragic, because the woman was the famous Dominic. Even the leader of the German mafia once died at her hands, and the 2 underlings outside. At this time, they were trying to open the box, seeing that they couldn't break the chains by smashing. One of them was going to get a pair of pliers, but just as he reached the car, there was a noise behind him. Looking back, he found that his companion was already dead. Terrified, he was about to run away. A gun was pressed against his back. Nick immediately disarmed him, then threatened the man to carry the box onto the pickup truck. Looking at the man's strenuous movement, it was obvious that the things inside were not light. After the man carried the box onto the pickup, Nick did not hesitate to shoot him, then drove the drug dealer's car away from the scene. But when arriving at the gas station to refuel, the car was still recognized by the gas station attendants, because these drug dealers were notorious in the local area. So to avoid some unnecessary trouble, after burying her wooden box wrapped with iron chains, Nick came to a remote wasteland, took out a bucket of gasoline and poured it on the pickup truck, set it on fire, making the pickup completely turn to ashes. She thought this would erase her traces, but little did she know, it was all her wishful thinking, because the police found the 3 bodies that day, and the leading boss among them was actually the brother-in-law of the local sheriff. Because of this relationship, it led to collusion between the local police and drug dealers. The police officers only cared about making money, even did not spare the gold teeth in the dead's mouths. Their methods were extremely cruel. Only Detective Leo was an exception. He hated criminals deeply. A woman pulls out a blade from the strap of her dress. The man opposite is completely unaware. She hides it behind her back. With a gentle twist, she has a carbon fiber katana. With a swift movement of her hand and the falling of the blade, she makes the man's skin split and blood flow, and then she killed him without mercy. Lisa is a female killer living near the Eiffel Tower in Paris. She lives alone on weekdays, with only a small goldfish for company. Although she looks cute and well-behaved, she is the goddess of death in this fashion capital, disguised as various beautiful appearances. The targets entrusted to her are often killed in just one encounter. She always meets her superior John at an abandoned church. On this day, John gives her a new task, requiring her to kill a criminal gang. She comes to an exquisite suit store. The proprietor of the store provided the equipment for each assassination. At the same time, on the quiet streets of Paris, police Policeman Lassie is staking out a drug dealer with his partner Jax. Soon, this guy named Carl appears on the street wearing headphones. Lacey and his partner quickly stopped his BMW at the intersection. They go up and start punching and kicking him. Unexpectedly, the guy broke free while the two were distracted. Then he pulled out a gun and took Jax down. He even fires several shots, making Lassie unable to lift his head. Then he drives the BMW, preparing to escape. But how could Lassie let him go easily? He draws his gun and aims, and then a bullet accurately hits his left shoulder. The BMW went out of control and crashed into an oncoming car, nearly crushing the motorcycle guy opposite into a pulp. When Lassie approaches, he finds that the drug dealer has long escaped. The two chase all the way to a river embankment. The desperate drug dealer, in a panic, takes a little boy hostage, but in the end, he is shot dead by Lassie and falls into the same river. It's just that he doesn't know at this time. This dead drug dealer, behind the back of a huge criminal conspiracy. These young girls stand on the street. Every time a car passes by, they step forward to ask if service is needed. And the one controlling these girls is the gang boss Wes. But Wes's secret was discovered by a reporter, so he sent someone to beat her severely. Little did he know the reporter's brother is a special forces king. To avenge his sister, Kevin sneaked into the gang's lair alone. He just happened to see the gang transporting the girls, and the sheriff was also at the scene. That's when he found out the sheriff was an inside man, so he quickly called other police for backup and told them not to use the walkie-talkie to prevent the sheriff from getting the message. But backup would take time, so Kevin decided to go in and hold them off. First, he fired his gun to create confusion. Wes hurriedly ordered his underlings to search around. Little did they know they had fallen into Kevin's trap. Kevin suddenly appeared, directly taking down one underling. Then he snatched the pistol and took out another. The gunfire attracted two more underlings, but they were no different from delivering themselves, getting killed in the blink of an eye. Kevin killed as he went, quickly taking out all the underlings. Suddenly a braided man rushed out, who was the sheriff's assistant. This guy is obviously much more powerful than those underlings, but he was still no match for Kevin, finally taken down by Kevin with a kick. At this moment, Wes also appeared. He swung a knife wildly, and with him was that corrupt sheriff. While the three of them were fighting, the braided man rejoined the fight. The next second, Kevin pierced his foot with a dagger. Then Kevin slammed his fist into the sheriff's chest, and then he tore off his necklace, stabbed it in forcefully. Now only Wes was left. Kevin calmly picked up two iron rods. Wes attacked first, but all blows were blocked by Kevin. They went back and forth like this, with no winner for a long time. But finally, Wes found an opportunity, slashing Kevin's back with a knife. Seeing he had the upper hand, Wes started to taunt. This completely enraged Kevin. Wes tried to fight back, but was controlled again. As Wes lay collapsed on the ground, Kevin finally avenged his sister. The police arrived at this time. They joined forces with Kevin to rescue all the controlled girls. Never seen such an arrogant man. Just because he didn't like the police, he blew up the police station with a bazooka. The man is a famous gangster in this area, and men like him are everywhere. There's a lot of drugs here. Guns are everywhere. It's a criminal's paradise. B14. Even the police can't do anything about them, so they built a wall to keep them out. Victor wanted to change that. He fixed bombs to the wall and blew them up as he walked, but this attracted the police. Victor didn't panic at all, because this is his home turf. Faced with a police car stop, he leaped onto the roof and easily dodged. He then weaves his way through the abandoned building. The police behind him couldn't do a thing about him. Victor led them to the boss's turf. The underlings opened fire wildly at the pursuing police. Facing the fierce fire suppression, the cops could only run away. But they didn't know. A plot against District 13 is underway. District 13 is located in the prime area of the city. The president's secretary had his eye on it, so he found a developer. The plan is to clean up District 13, transform this area into a business district, and they'd split the profits. The two men agreed immediately. At night, the secretary sends one of his men, William. They walked right up to the patrolman. Just identify yourself directly. Tell them to leave on the grounds of handling a case. But as soon as the cops got in the car, William pulled out his gun and killed them. Then he dragged the car into the container. Thought he'd done it clean and sharp. Unexpectedly, this scene was filmed by a few young men not far away. Then they drove to the 13th district. Use of special status to pass through checkpoints. The truck entered the gangsters' territory, dumped the police car on the side of the road. One of the goons heard the commotion outside. They sent someone out to check it out. William, who was not far away, fired a shot. When they heard the gunshot, immediately shot at the police car, and it was all recorded by William. The next day the shooting was on the news. news. The president was shocked. He told his secretary to get to the bottom of it, keep the situation from escalating further. At the same time, this video is playing in the streets. It also aroused the public's hatred for the 13th district, but the guys from the 13th district were thrilled to see it. Only their boss feels that it's not that simple. On the other side, the secretary's underlings spotted something new. They were checking surveillance when they saw there was another car next to last night's crime scene, and someone inside was videotaping it. The secretary panicked immediately. Tell him to find these guys right away. And Victor also saw the news on the roadside. He was approached by a young man, pulled him aside. He put a flash drive in his hand, and left in a panic. He was the young man who made the video last night, but he didn't get far before William's men caught him. Victor saw it all. He realized that the license plate in front of him looked familiar. Turns out he was also not far away that night. Saw William's license plate through the binoculars. Victor sensed something was wrong, so he rushed home, planning to check what secrets are on the USB drive. Two fighters have crossed the sky, preparing to bomb the 13th sector. The president has arrived at the battle headquarters. He's waiting for the civilians to be evacuated, but the president still has concerns. The secretary was worried that the plan would change, so he kept trying to persuade the president. On the other side, Victor finds the 13th district. One of the big shots, Mina, told her the gravity of the situation, and said it's all the presidential secretary pulling the strings. And on the secretary's computer hard drive, they found the files of the 13th district. Just realized he's really going to destroy this place. With Mina's help, they gathered the other bigwigs of the 13th district, prepare to crush the secretary's plot once and for all. They lead a group of underlings straight into the presidential palace. The guards inside were unprepared, ambushed by thugs dropping from above, caught completely by surprise. Victor also leads men in from the front. These are all battle-hardened gang members, quickly beating the security personnel to a pulp. Then they broke through the barrier to the upper floors, but the guards here are still no match for them. Dropping to the ground after just a few moves, the secretary in the house heard the commotion. He sent William to check it out, but as soon as he steps out, he runs into Victor and his group. It seems that a fierce battle is inevitable. The bald head pretends to say hello, suddenly kicks William in the crotch. It was over before it even started, judging by his expression. It must hurt. At this moment, the president is about to activate the bombing switch. Victor and the others broke in just in time, quickly taking down the guards at the door. The president pulled out the key when he saw it. The minister goes up to them and tells them to leave. Next second, he gets smacked. Victor took out a CD and put it on his computer. The video shows the scene where William killed the policeman. Only then does the president realize the secretary is behind everything. Then Baldy took out the secretary's computer hard disk. Seeing that the matter has been exposed, the secretary took the president hostage. He forced him to continue the bombing mission. By now, the warplanes have arrived over the 13th district. The president also activated the switch. Victor deliberately stepped aside, distracting his attention. Baldhead took the opportunity to drop the secretary with a flying kick. The bigwigs of Sector 13 took turns serving the secretary. Then they rolled him up in a rug. The president realized his mistake, apologizing to everyone one by one, and said he'd tear down Sector 13's walls and rebuild the neighborhood where they can live and work. The movie ends here. The special operations team accidentally intercepted a container worth $10 billion. Just as they were about to check it out, the captain suddenly spotted from the ground a figure carrying a rocket launcher. Luckily, the team reacted quickly. After a moment's respite, Mike quickly aimed at the enemy and pulled the trigger, and shot him right off the top. After the crisis was over, they opened the container, but inside was a strong man, from the 6-foot scorpion tattoo on his back. It made it clear he was no ordinary guy, and he'd been specially guarded by armed men. In order to investigate the matter, Mike brought the man to the police station as a matter of urgency, not knowing that this man's presence would bring a bloodbath to the whole police station. After interrogation, the man's name was Scorpion, was an undercover agent planted in a criminal ring, because he held piles of incriminating evidence. That's why he'd been tortured for info, and said Jesse wouldn't let him off easy. Before Mike had a chance to validate it, Deputy Chief Mina suddenly informed him. 2 men claiming to be FBI were outside, demanding to take Scorpion now. When Mike heard that, he didn't dare to be slow. He immediately went to the lobby to meet the 2 men. However, the guns on their belts aroused Mike's suspicion.
These are our personal weapons. On the job.
In order to confirm their true identity, Mike fired off a few pro-level industry questions. They stammered, unable to answer. Obviously, they were fakes.
Who are you? Just hand the prisoner over.
With that, they both drew their weapons at the same time, aiming to take Mike out. In the confusion, Mike used the other's pistol, successfully killed one person, but the other seized the opening, caught completely off guard right then and there. As the thug pulled a knife to finish him, 2 police officers came in time. They were able to save the captain. Mike realized that maybe what Scorpion said was true. He rushed towards the interrogation room, only to find Scorpion gone. Before he could react, Scorpion, who was hiding behind the door, suddenly attacked him, only to see that under the crush of absolute strength, Mike was no match for him at all. However, Scorpion didn't intend to make things difficult for him. The point of his doing this was to gain Mike's trust.
You trust me now?
fearing that more thugs might break into the police station and thus threaten the safety of all officers. So after careful consideration, ignored the objections. He insisted on sending the Scorpion to a safer place. Unbeknownst to him, Jesse already knew exactly where the Scorpion was and had his men hack into the police system. What's worse is that there was an undercover agent inside the police station.
Hello?
Mike and Scorpion had just left the police station. In the next second, the snipers sent by Jesse locked onto them. The sniper aimed at the police escort vehicle, but the reflection of the 8x scope was spotted by the prisoners in time. Then a car approached them quickly. Several masked robbers got out of the car. They picked up hacksaws and started cutting the car door, preparing to capture Scorpion alive and take him away. Scorpion knew these people were after him. He used the saw blade to cut the restraints and got ready for a fight. The sniper tried to sneak attack again. The next second he was shot by Anna, who arrived and killed him.
Not on my shift, motherfucker.
At the same time, several gangsters just rushed into the car. In the blink of an eye, Scorpion threw M out of the car, right on its heels. He gave the last guy a brutal beating. Seeing this, the gangsters swarmed up. It didn't take long to take out everyone.
Fuck!
At this time, Mike woke up from a coma, yet a few more cars rolled up not far off. Seeing the situation was bad, they immediately ran toward the police station. But obviously, there was no time. Mike quickly handed Scorpion a weapon, then engaged in a fierce gunfight with the gangsters, and the teammates in the police station also urgently joined the battle. Unexpectedly, there was a Gatling on the gangsters' vehicle. Everyone quickly fled back to the police station and lowered the bulletproof steel plates at once. Since the front could not be forced to enter, Jess immediately ordered his men to cut off the power supply of the police station and blocked the cell phone signal. That's when Jess called.
The man you pulled out of a box belongs to me.
Hand him over, and I'll go away.
To make Mike agree to his demands as soon as possible. Jess even threatened with the lives of all the people's families in the station, but Mike wouldn't give in so easily. He hung up the phone without saying a word, because he already had a way to deal with them in mind. Mike planned to use the gangster's corpse as bait instead of Scorpion, to lure all the gangsters outside to the back door, and they would lurk by the window in advance. Take them all out while you can. When everything was ready, Scorpion carefully hid behind the gangster and pushed him out, and opened the bulletproof steel plate at the same time. The gangsters indeed fell for it. Unexpectedly, at this critical moment, the window on the third floor flashed brightly.
Morse code. Pull everyone back.
It's a trap.
Everyone move back, now.
It turned out to be the mole, Big Beard, sending a dangerous signal to Jess. Thus, the carefully planned counterattack fell through. After checking the surveillance later, Mike realized it was Big Beard who betrayed them. At this time, he was preparing to escape the police station with the gangsters. Fortunately, Mina spotted them in time. Under the suppression of firepower, the gangster smoothly opened the gate and escaped, and cut off the police station's defense system. When Mike heard the gunshots, he also rushed over. After learning the situation from Mina, the two quickly chased after them, but accidentally fell into the gangster's ambush. One kick knocked Mike to the ground, then hit a metal box and fainted. Mina was clearly no match for him, easily knocked down by the gangster. At the critical moment, Mike woke up in time, shot him dead with one bullet. Although with their efforts, the crisis was temporarily resolved, but now a bigger trouble came, because Jess had opened the bulletproof steel plate.